If you're a die-hard Star Trek fan, you love William Shatner's performance as Captain Kirk. His performance was impeccable, and he's one of the main reasons why we still love watching the original series created by Gene Roddenberry. But how did William Shatner feel about Captain Kirk and the Star Trek franchise? The unsettling truth for die-hard fans is he claims to have never watched an episode. In fact, he stated he finds it, quote, painful to watch, and he doesn't like how he looks or his performance in the TV series or in the original films. Let's have a look at how William Shatner felt about Captain Kirk and what he thinks of the whole Star Trek franchise. Earlier this year, William Shatner revealed he never managed to watch an entire episode of the Star Trek TV show. He stated he can't recall certain episodes at all. He even stated he hadn't watched any of the original Star Trek films. The one exception was Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, but that was only because he directed the film. It isn't uncommon for actors and actresses to not want to look back at their work. Many feel embarrassed at how they look and often aren't too happy with their performances. This is how the now 90-year-old actor feels about his performance as Captain Kirk. Nevertheless, he isn't bitter about his experience with the character or the franchise at all. In fact, he seems to have an affinity for them. He clearly understands Captain Kirk in a way most of us can't. He also understands why Star Trek became a popular franchise and why it will continue to remain popular. Hey, if you're enjoying this so far, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. The original Star Trek series was created by Gene Roddenberry and lasted for 3 seasons, from 1966 to 69. The series also spawned 6 films, including Star Trek: The Motion Picture, The Wrath of Khan, The Search for Spock, The Final Frontier, and The Undiscovered Country. Shatner appeared as Captain Kirk in each of these 6 films. He also reappeared as Captain Kirk in Star Trek Generations, though many of the original cast members didn't. Of course, since then, we've seen reboots of the television series and newer films. But no matter what, we'll always love William Shatner as Captain Kirk. Though he hates watching his most famous role in both film and TV, he is grateful for his work on Star Trek. He also realizes the importance of the Star Trek franchise. He stated, "We're on the verge of extinction. We're poisoning ourselves out of life, and the Earth will survive, and this little cancer, mankind, that's growing all around her will die off the way a body gets a temperature and kills the germs off. Mother Earth will get rid of us because we're a pestilence, but we don't have to be, and we can join with the rest of life that makes it here on Earth with equanimity." He states the reason for the Star Trek universe being set in a distant future was to give a sense of hope for humans and their future in the universe. Despite him not liking to watch his work in Star Trek, he's happy to discuss the franchise and realizes how important it is to generations of fans. He's so introspective on Star Trek, he recently cleared up a long-standing rumor about Captain Kirk. In the original series, Kirk was depicted as a womanizer, yet his close relationship with Mr. Spock raised a few eyebrows from discerning fans. It's rumored Captain Kirk was bisexual, and he loved Mr. Spock and perhaps other men. Shatner dispelled these rumors by requesting that newer generations of fans consider the context of the original series. He stated that while the end of the 60s launched the gay rights movement, as well as the Stonewall riots, the very notion of homosexuality was taboo during much of the decade. He knew that if Captain Kirk was depicted as explicitly bisexual, the show wouldn't have lasted. He felt it wouldn't have spawned films and would not have made Gene Roddenberry's career. He stated that he couldn't care less if future depictions of Kirk portray him as bisexual, but he has dispelled rumors that the original one was. To him, it would have been suicidal for the success of the franchise, given the time period it was produced in. While Shatner has moved on to different roles in film and TV, we'll always remember him as Captain Kirk. While Star Trek will continue to see new iterations, no actor can ever replace the legend that's Shatner. In fact, there has been discussion about him reprising the role in a new Star Trek film. At his age, he could perhaps play Captain Kirk in the future as an older and wiser man. He states he isn't 100% against this, but he feels it likely won't happen. For him, acting in Star Trek is in his past, and he likely doesn't want to reprise the role. Nevertheless, he's happy to discuss Star Trek in interviews, press conferences, and at Star Trek-related events. So what else has William Shatner been doing with his life and career? On April 6, 2021, he was inducted into the World Wrestling Entertainment's Hall of Fame. While not a wrestler himself, he had hosted WWE shows before and was always a welcome presence. He loved hosting WWE shows and stated he enjoyed the interaction from the fans. He felt their enthusiasm was similar to that of the most die-hard Star Trek fans. The actor was inducted into the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame. This houses other celebrities like Donald Trump, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Kid Rock, Mr. T, Drew Carey, and Snoop Dogg. Shatner has had a long career in film and television. He began in the 50s when he was in his 20s. He spent much of his career playing bit parts on TV shows. He also appeared in a few independent films such as The Explosive Generation, Judgment at Nuremberg, and The Intruder. While he continued to work throughout the 50s and 60s, his career consisted mostly of bit parts in TV shows and occasional work in film. He was a recognized face, but he wasn't a household name. Looking back, no one could have predicted then he'd become an icon of TV. Then, in the mid-60s, he won the role of a lifetime as Captain Kirk in Star Trek. This launched him to stardom, and his career has been uphill ever since. Now, in his 90s, he's still one of the most cherished actors in entertainment, loved by his peers, critics, and fans alike. With the success of Star Trek, he continued to land roles in some of the most popular TV shows of the time, like The $6 Million Man, Ironside, and Kung Fu. Later, he'd also find success in shows like T.J. Hooker, Tech War, Third Rock from the Sun, Boston Legal, and The Indian Detective. He also acted in major films like Miss Congeniality, Devil's Revenge, and most recently, Senior Moment. Not only were his characters famous, he was famous. Since Star Trek's popularity, William Shatner has often appeared as himself in shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Futurama, The Big Bang Theory, and more. He's one of those rare actors who is as legendary as the characters he plays. In his 90s, he doesn't seem to have a desire to slow down, and we can expect to see him work in film and TV for at least a few more years. For those of us who are Star Trek fans, we hope that at least once more we can see him reprise the role of Captain James T. Kirk. We thank William Shatner for his incredible work. Perhaps he'll break his rule and watch an episode or two of Star Trek in the near future. Even if he doesn't like watching his performances, we know we always will. Are you a fan of Star Trek? What do you think about William Shatner's thoughts on Captain Kirk? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts Verse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.